Hey, welcome back! It's time to continue our discussion of Monkey by Wu Cheng-en, the shortened version of The Long Journey to the West. In this episode, we're going to talk about the second adventure that our heroes have on their journey in Whaley's abridged translation. And it's a sequence that contains one of the most outrageous pranks in the entire book. Now, last time we were talking about tensions within the three religious philosophies of China: Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. In particular, we looked at the tension between the prince and Tripitaka, the Buddhist and the Confucianist. One who sees the importance of the detachment from desire, while the other pursues the desire for duty. In this particular sequence, there's further tension, this time between Taoism and Buddhism. Because we're coming to the kingdom of Kartslow, a kingdom that is imbalanced. All of the power has gone to the Taoists, and the Buddhists have been subjugated and enslaved. And we have to read this somewhat ironically, because Taoism is about inaction, and it's about balance, and it's about avoiding ambition, but instead going with the flow of things. And clearly the three Taoist immortals within this sequence do not do these things. And at the end of this sequence, although the three Taoist immortals have been defeated and destroyed by Tripitaka's disciples, there's still not a revenge on Taoism. It's not that Taoism was bad here. Rather, those three immortals were corrected for using Taoist magic for their own means, and ultimately undoing the good of Taoism. At the end, actually, Taoism is reaffirmed, along with Buddhism. Monkey says, as he concludes the matter, "Now the whole pest has been extirpated, and you see with your own eyes that Buddhism is the true way. Never again follow false doctrines, nor follow foolish courses, but know that the three religions are one. Reverence priests, reverence Taoists too, and cultivate the faculties of man. I will see to it that these hills and streams are safe forever." Notice the way he unifies all three of those religious philosophies. So the tensions between them really come when they aren't being enacted correctly. Ultimately, if observing them correctly, you should be revering all of them, and all of them should be united for the good of everyone. I'd also like to talk just a moment about the way this book is written, the narrative style. You may have noticed by now that there's this charming end to each chapter, this hook that asks you if you're ready to find out what happens next. And if you do not know whether in the end they escaped with their lives, you must listen to what is told in the next chapter. Or notice the omniscient narrator who makes comments on the characters that continue, "Dear Monkey," every time Monkey does something exciting. Or "Poor fool," whenever Pigsy does something stupid. That's the narrator making commentary on the characters. And one of my favorite bits is the way it works in all of these maxims and wise sayings and proverbs. Many of them surprise us and take us off guard because we aren't familiar with them, and the book seems to assume that we know these proverbs. In the previous episode, when Tripitaka was talking with the Ghost Emperor, he says if Monkey were to try to unseat the evil usurping magician and fail because he doesn't want to do violence to the court, what should he do? Would not he and I be guilty of conspiring to destroy your kingdom? And what would this be but to paint the tiger and carve the swan? Paint the tiger, carve the swan? What does that even mean? There's an endnote in this version which says, the full proverb is, "A poorly drawn tiger looks like a dog. An ill-carved swan looks like a duck." In other words, an ambitious undertaking which, if not successful, may be worse than inaction. It's a very Taoist kind of proverb. But notice the way that Tripitaka assumes we already know the rest of the proverb and know what it means. Do we have proverbs like that in English? Well, sure. And it's possible even sometimes to use them in shorthand where people know what we're talking about. They're part of our cultural and linguistic vocabulary that we use to convey meaning. They're shortcuts to meaning that we drop to get people to understand us very quickly. And yet, when someone from a different culture, or someone studying English as a second language, hears that expression, it completely makes no sense. A fairly simple example of this, one time when I was in France, I was with a mixed group of people from the US, from Canada, and from France. Everyone was fluent in English, but one young man who, although had excellent English, was native to France, was offering salad to each of us. One of the Canadians said, "I'm good," And the young French person stood there holding the salad, uncertain what to make of that expression. I'm good. He meant, of course, I'm satisfied, I no longer want any more salad. But in translation it sounded a bit more like, I'm a good person. How is that a response to salad? I've also recently just discovered the expression in Spanish, for if the flies, which means just in case. What a fantastic expression. I'm going to bring an umbrella, for if the flies. I love linguistic and idiomatic explorations, and Monkey's a great place to do those. But without further ado, let's look at what unfolds in these chapters. So our travelers are on their journey when suddenly they hear a loud noise, and they aren't sure what it is. And so they send Monkey ahead to find out. He leaps ahead and he finds a whole bunch of Buddhists pushing a very heavy cart up a hill. Quickly he discovers that these 400 Buddhists have been enslaved by the Taoists, and they're the only Buddhist survivors in the kingdom of Kartslow. You see, a few years ago there was no rain. That seems to be, a recurring thing. And all the Buddhists prayed for rain and got no rain. But then these 3 Taoist immortals came into town, and they prayed for rain, and they were granted rain. And so they said, Taoism is the best, and these Buddhists all need to be our slaves, because they're good for nothing. And so there was an upset in the balance of things in this kingdom. Monkey, hearing this story and feeling very bad for the Buddhists, dresses himself as a Taoist, poof, and he goes up to the two Taoist taskmasters, and he says, hey, I'm looking for my long-lost relative. Do you mind if I check these Buddhists and see if it's one of them? And since he looks like a Taoist, they're like, sure, we'll let one of them go. And so Monkey goes over and he looks at all of them, and then he comes back and he says, they're all my brothers. And the Taoists are like, what? What are you talking about? We can't let them all go. No. And so Monkey kills them both. And the Taoist taskmasters are dead. And the Buddhists are like, oh no, you just killed our masters. Now we're really in for it. But Monkey says, don't worry, I am the great sage. I have come to rescue you. And all of them had dreamed that the great sage was going to come to rescue them. And so he gives them each one of his hairs to keep under their thumbnail. And if anyone ever menaces them, they just whisper to it, great sage! And the hair will transform into this giant thunder demon and scare off anybody who's bothering them. So Monkey's just saying goodbye to each one of them when finally Tripitaka and the rest arrive. What took you so long? Monkey explains the situation and they say, we better do something about it and help out these poor Buddhists. The Buddhists let them stay in an old Buddhist temple. And in the night, Monkey decides to go investigate everything. And so he wakes up Pigsy and Sandy. And the 3 of them go to the Taoist temple, where there's being a big ceremony. And Monkey makes this big wind happen that makes everybody go home. And then the 3 of them sneak inside the temple, where they find all of these wonderful offerings. And of course, Pigsy's very excited about the offerings. But before they can sit down and eat, Monkey says, wait, let's have good manners. Let's find a nice place to sit. Up in front of the offerings are statues of the Taoist Trinity. And so Monkey says, hey, let's go ahead and get them out of here and take their place. And so he gets Pigsy to pick up the statues and carry them off. Pigsy tosses them into the outhouse. And then they return and sit where the statues were and begin to gobble up the food. While they're there, a young Taoist comes back to the temple to get his bell, but he sees somebody eating in there. And so he runs and gets the 3 Taoist immortals. The Tiger Strength Immortal, the Ram Strength Immortal, and the Deer Strength Immortal. Yeah, I know it's a giraffe. And the 3 of them come in to investigate the intrusion. Once they arrive, they see that the offerings have been eaten. And they say, someone's stolen our offerings. But then they hear voices, and up where the statues used to be, the 3 images are speaking to them. Of course, it's just Monkey, Pigsy, and Sandy. But they think that it's the Taoist deities having come down to honor them. Hooray! And so they ask if the Taoist deities will give them some holy water. Pigsy's like, we haven't got any holy water, what are we gonna do? But Monkey's like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he tells the 3 Taoist immortals, don't look, because I don't want to reveal my secrets, my mystical secrets. And so the 3 Taoist immortals turn around while Monkey urinates into a jar. Pigsy thinks this is hilarious, and he and Sandy follow suit as well. and they offer these 3 jars of urine to the Taoist Immortals. The Taoist Immortals are so delighted to be able to get this blessed holy water. But it tastes a little funny. Yeah. And they realize something is up, and Monkey, Pigsy, and Sandy dash away. The Taoist Immortals are not amused. The next day, when Tripitaka arrives at the court of the Emperor of Kartslow. I am the Emperor of Kartslow. Will you please stamp my passport? Oh, sure. A bunch of Buddhists traveling through from China? Better go ahead and just stamp them and let them go. But wait! They're intruders and imposters and vandals! Uh-oh. And so the 3 immortals accuse them all of awful things and say, no, these are imposters, we're gonna get rid of them, we're gonna challenge them. The tensions are rising between the 2 groups when suddenly someone comes in and says, hey, we need some rain. Can we get those Taoist Immortals to make us some rain? What a great idea! Let's have a rain-making contest! And so they decide to have a rain-making contest, which then leads to contest after contest after contest. Notice how the Taoist Immortals keep twisting the arm of the Emperor. He's rather stupid. And so every time he thinks, oh, I better just stamp their passports and let them go, the 3 Taoist Immortals talk him into one more test, no matter how many times they lose. But it starts with a rain-making contest. Now, the Taoist Immortals begin their rain-making rituals, but Monkey turns invisible and jumps up and looks around to see what sort of people are summoning the rain here. And he sees the old woman with the bag, he sees Cloud Boy and Rain Lad or something like that. All these different characters who are bringing the rain. And he says, don't you bring the rain! But they say, well, they've done the right offerings, we've got to. The Jade Emperor said we have to. But Monkey said, that's fine, just wait till my signals and then you can bring it. And so Monkey signals with his staff and causes the rain to come down very, very impressively. And as soon as he signals again, it all stops. And everyone's like, wow, he brought the rain immediately. But the Immortals are like, no, it was our rain, it just hadn't quite warmed up yet. And so it arrived when he did it, but it was really just sort of a mistaken perception. Let's challenge them again! And so then they challenge them to other contests. They challenge Tripitaka to a meditating contest where he has to float up onto a pillar and meditate up there for a long, long time. But Tripitaka, you know, that's one thing he can do. He can really concentrate and meditate. But the Taoist Immortals are cheating, and one of them turns into a louse that lands on his bald head and starts biting it, making it really uncomfortable for Tripitaka. Monkey catches on, though, and brushes the louse away, and then decides to play the same trick on the Taoist Immortal, who's meditating. Only Monkey turns into a centipede and crawls up his nose. Ah! 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 So it looks like our heroes have won again, but then Deer Strength Immortal is like, no, let's do one more challenge. Let's do the Guess What's in the Box challenge. The Emperor is supposed to put things in the box, and using their magical arts, Tripitaka and the Immortals are supposed to guess what's in the box. Monkey, of course, is onto the whole cheating thing now. Hey, these Immortals are cheating, Monkey's gonna cheat all he wants. And so he keeps sneaking into the box and changing what's in there into something completely different, and then telling Tripitaka what he changed it into. And so every time Tripitaka says what's in the box, it's something ridiculous, like an old rag or a peach pit, when really the treasure was supposed to be something wonderful. But even though everyone's completely stunned by the audacity of Tripitaka's answers, they always turn out to be right. Finally, the Immortals realize that Monkey is able to change whatever is in the box, and so they decide to put a person in the box, something that Monkey can't change. And so they put one of their own Taoists inside. But Monkey, finding the Taoist inside, dresses himself as a Taoist, and then tells the little Taoist acolyte that the Buddhists have figured out that he's inside, and so they're gonna switch things up to confuse him. So he shaves the Taoist's head, puts on a Buddhist robe, and has the Taoist praying to Buddha. And so, of course, Tripitaka guesses a Buddhist, and when they open it up, there's a little Buddhist. All of the challenges having been met, it's time for Tripitaka and his disciples to go on. Time to stamp their passports. But at this point, the Immortals are so angry that they want to really up the stakes. They decide to do much more violent contests. The first is a head chopping off contest. And so Monkey volunteers really for all of these contests. And so Monkey has his head chopped off. Poof, and then his head rolls away. But he calls in a voice from his throat, deep down in his neck, "Come back!" And the head starts coming back. But the Deer Strength Immortal decides to chase the head away and keep it from Monkey. So it looks like Monkey's doomed, but Monkey just poof, grows another head, because Monkey is, let's face it, completely invulnerable. Now it's the Tiger Strength Immortal's turn to get his head cut off. And when he does, Monkey transforms one of his hairs into a dog who takes the tiger's head and runs away with it. The tiger then dies. And it turns out that he's not a person after all, even though he looked human, because his bones are tiger bones. Suspicious. The next contest is a drawing contest. And I'm not talking like drawing, I'm talking about like cutting you open and pulling your guts out drawing. And so Monkey says, "Oh, no problem, I ate a bad dinner the other night and I want to clean out my guts anyway." So they cut him open, he pulls his guts out and he cleans them all out and puts them back inside and he's just fine. The Deer Strength Immortal tries the same thing, but then Monkey again creates an eagle that swoops down and grabs his guts away, and the Deer Strength Immortal dies. But all that's left is a pile of deer bones. The ram is left, and he decides that they're going to have a bath of boiling oil. So Monkey jumps into the bath of boiling oil and says, "Ah, this will be nice and pleasant." But he hears Pigsy and Tripitaka talking about him, and he gets grumpy with them because they're always making fun of him, so he decides to play a prank on them. He makes himself very, very, very small, so it looks like he's been completely boiled away. And when they try to fish out his bones, he keeps dodging the spoon so that they think that there's nothing left. Tripitaka then is heartbroken. He begins to cry over the boiling pot of oil. But Pigsy laughs at Monkey and says, "Good riddance to you! Ha ha ha! You prankster!" That's enough for Monkey. He pops up and responds to Pigsy's insults. "Oh, it was a trick." And look, now it's the ram's turn. He gets down in the oil and he seems really comfy. A little too comfy. So Monkey goes over and sticks his finger into the oil and realizes that the oil isn't hot anymore. It just looks like boiling oil. And he says, there must be some little chilly dragon in there. So he summons the Dragon King and says, "Hey, how are you letting these guys cheat?" The Dragon King apologizes and takes back the little chilly dragon. At that point, the Ram Strength Immortal realizes that he's cooked. And he boils away. But when they try to fish out what's left of him, it turns out it's ram bones. The Emperor says, "Oh, my friends, the three immortals are all dead." But Monkey says they were just animal spirits that had gained magical power. They're probably out to destroy your throne. Look how they ruined your kingdom. And the Emperor goes, "Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, well, thank you for saving us." And Monkey teaches him to find balance between the religions. That's the end of that episode! And Monkey, Pigsy, Tripitaka, and Sandy continue on their journey. What's gonna happen next time? You'll find out in the episode of The Great King of Miracles. Thanks for watching. You can click to subscribe to watch the next episode, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!